Okay, good morning, listeners and viewers of the Real Stuff podcast. Today is Tuesday and it's July 19th, and we're having a special guest on our program today. Her name is Ayanna Gordon, and she will tell us about herself. I've got with me here our host, Flavius, and I'll just turn back to you, Flavius.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much. And welcome, Ayanna. Welcome. Are we pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes, you did. It's Ayanna.
Ayanna. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Could you just start off by telling our viewers who you are and what you do? And then we'll take it from there.
Sure, sure. Good morning,
I'll be
everyone.
off video for a short time.
Great. All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Ayanna Gordon, and I'm at location where I work, my full-time job, which is at the Institute of Jamaica. And you may wonder, what is the Institute of Jamaica? What do I do there? So my position is curatorial assistant, and my main duty is tours. And so the Institute, of course, is mandated for the encouragement of literature, science, and art. So pretty much we govern the major government museums in Jamaica. And so my daily job, of course, involved doing tours, talking to teachers, talking to researchers, talking to students, talking to visitors. I mean, people come to us from all over the world to learn about Jamaican culture, to learn about Jamaican history, and of course, to come and see our museums. You know, what do we have to offer, and that sort of thing. And I mean, our culture is, you know, phenomenal. I mean, I can't think of anyone who, especially outside of our shores, talking about Jamaica and enlisting all its assets and not mentioning its culture. The sad reality is that too many Jamaican children do not know enough about their culture. And so when I started here at the Institute of Jamaica, although I was in the National Museum Jamaica division, you know, I could immerse myself even into other divisions, you know, Jamaica Museum, just to see what they do and to do some of their tours as well, you know, because again, that helps to, you know, broaden the scope of what I offer. Persons are usually very happy with my delivery. I usually get good results, and so I decided to extend that in terms of tours and including in my profile. So I do tours for them as well, and that is an art walk for Water Lane. So it's a way of using art to transform Water Lane, and how Ayanna comes in is on when I do the tours. Of course, I throw in all the history of Son in particular, and by extension, Jamaica. You know, I try to make my tours lively and interactive because I don't think history is dead. History is one of those subjects that should be compulsory in schools, so that, you know, it doesn't have to take when somebody goes to another country and, you know, they're being asked about their people or certain experiences, and then, you know, we kind of scratch our head to say what really has history taught us. You know, we're coming up to Jamaica 60. And it is still even more eye-opening now that we don't know enough about our culture, and I'm particularly concerned about our children. And so I try to engage them so that, you know, when they leave, they can say, yes, they left the Institute or they left Kingston Creative or wherever I am, and they have learned something about their culture that will resonate with them. So once I've done that, I mean, I've done my job. And I'm not the type that just talk about history, I live it. So in fact, in a very general way, I'm a Garveyite, and started my own creation called Designs by Ayanna. So I'm a florist in essence, and so I love flowers. I love everything to do with flowers. That's what my name actually means, beautiful flower. And that's what I do, you know, and that's what I do outside of institutes. You know, I believe entrepreneurship is it's a ship that I am glad I boarded. You know, and when you think like an entrepreneur, you don't just trap yourself to one idea. So even though I love flowers and I love gift baskets and wreaths and all of that stuff, I'm definitely willing to take it higher, you know, when that time comes, you know, in my time free. So in a sense, yeah.
Yes, well, yeah, I know we talked about where you're working and where you're at, but tell us a little bit about the beginning of your journey. You know, where is Ayanna from, you know, and, you know, things like that, because, you know, people I see you're a very interesting character and person. So, let's talk about your journey. Where you're from and your beginnings, your early beginnings.
Right. I mean, if I'm to start from birth, born at University of the West Indies, born on Chavez Avenue, that's East Kingston, Mountain View, that side. And
Yes.
majority of my life was Dawn Court. That's Constant Spring Gardens, right? A clash between Constant Spring Gardens and Whitehall Gardens, right? There in the middle. So Carlisle is where I spent the majority of my youth, of course, my teenage years. And then for school, it would be Excelsior Primary, and then going on to one of the best in the island in terms of high school, the best for ladies, and that is D. St. Andrew High. So yes, I'm a graduate of St. Andrew. And then I went to Excelsior Community College and then the University of the West Indies. When I went to the University of the West Indies, before I did, someone asked me, would you consider doing a major in African diaspora studies? And I said, sure, why not? And I pursued that, and my minor was political science. And leaving university now, wanting to go into the field of culture, but not having, wanting to go into the field of culture, but the doors didn't open for me right away. And so my first job was in customer service. And I said, you know what? It's important to bloom where you're planted. So when I started in customer service, just seeing how people reacted to me, just seeing how, business and just getting my feet wet there. That was my first job when I left university. And I told myself when I left university, when you leave university, you get the first degree, you think you're going to get the job. You're going to get the job that you want and the money that you want and to get all the things that you want. Because we're coming from a generation where you plan everything. You're going to do this by 21 and you're going to do this by 24 and you're going to do, it didn't quite work that way. So for me, the dream job didn't come, and I told myself that I'm going to give myself a skill. And I realized very early it's important to pursue your passion. And so I started doing that course in floral arrangement and balloon decorating, and just started getting customers from my very first job at stationery and office supplies. The feedback was good. And then my mommy's friend started telling me, yeah, things looking good. And, did my trial and error. And then did my first Valentine. Boy, that was a plus and a minus, but I'm a plus for the most part, and that teaches me a lot about life. Even that whole Valentine thing, Lord have mercy, the last minute orders, the people who have 2 women and can't mix up the orders and all these things and all of that, and the people who order baskets for themselves and flowers for themselves because they love themselves too, but then a part of it is that they don't want nobody to think that they don't have anybody. I mean, everything was happening and it was so teaching me about life, And I said, I'm going to keep going with this skill. And of course, I changed jobs. I still believe in having a main 9 to 5 because while we think entrepreneurship is important, it absolutely is. I mean, I was working for a company that has been around for, ages. And I learned early that you have a set of Jamaicans that will never send out a job application. But sometimes some of us may have to creep, especially when you're not coming from a family that's in a background in business. My mother wasn't an entrepreneur, but my mother was an accounting officer. And so that, I guess that, that kind of passed through me in a sense. I never liked accounts, but I knew the importance of, documenting, and I know the importance of getting things organized. And so just that whole customer service and getting into the whole thing of business and how to interact with people, it whetted my appetite to say, had I not gone in there, I know law was something that I kind of thought about, but I think I wanted to do law, but then entrepreneurship chose me. And I know I'm not where I need to be, but it's a total gain when you understand how people feel when they're acknowledged. Because that's what the Valentine thing teach me, that people live with people, but they don't feel recognized and valued. So even just those things that business taught me, of course, the making money part was fine, but there's something about gifts that I realized that don't ever take it for granted. There's some people that no one never really show them, say, I appreciate what you do. You know what I mean? And that's the beauty of what gifts do. And that's what I like what I do. Yeah.
Yes, because one of the things that I see that is very interesting in your bio, that you can learn a whole lot by listening, and you just explain that, all of that Valentine thing, Yeah, so we're here at the Real Stuff podcast speaking with Ayanna Gordon. We're just on a little break, but to give you a little update, she's a curatorial assistant at the Institute of Jamaica. She's also an entrepreneur who does floral arrangements and involved in doing these parties and events. So we're back with her right now, and just to talk, just talk about this aspect about the Festival Queen competition.
All right, glad you asked about that. So when I left campus, again, my culture, my interest in culture was not by accident. I tell you, anybody who works in the era of culture, I can tell you, it's not for the money, it's for the love, it's totally for the love. And so when I left university, right after I left, and so it was about a year, a couple months after, it was in 2004, and someone had asked me, think about it. And I said, you kind of just say, all right, I'll do it. It wasn't anything like some people, they plan it and, oh, they're going to win. And it was like that. It was like, all right, let me try it. Yeah. And I went to Louis Benigard Theatre, signed up, all of that. And I was placed second runner-up. The winner was Dr. Marsha Barnett. And it was a lovely night, but it taught me a lot, and I think I got the hardest question. They asked me about the Privy Council, and I didn't want to talk about, when you get controversial questions in pageants, it's like, oh, did they really ask me that? Tell me they didn't ask me that. But I love the experience. When we finished, people might think that pageants are overrated. They are not. They open doors for some people. And if nothing else, my problem wasn't confidence at all. Because I saw, you choose a philosophy, and mine was Garvey's. If you have no confidence in self, you're twice defeated in the race of life. I should have added the last part, which is with confidence, you have won even before you have started. But I took the first part and I ran with it. When you're a young woman and you're going out there and you walk into a room and you command the room, there's a power that goes with that whether you're going to work for somebody or you're going to start your own business, you're going to need that. And in life, it's important how you show up. It's important how you show up. And this is why, even with this whole thing about patois in schools and all of that, teaching patois, I've never ever endorsed it. And I'll tell you why. When a child, for instance, who is from an inner city, because a lot of people use pageants as confidence and personal development builders and that sort of thing, because one of the things you have to do is public speaking. You have to speak to people who sponsor you. You have courtesy calls, so you get to meet different people and all of that. And even after the pageant, I remember the then mayor of Port of Spain, Mayor Alderman Murchison, I think was his name, and he, Murchison, and he came to Bank of Jamaica, and they were having a ceremony. We were invited, as Kingston and St. Andrew Festival Queen winners, the top 3, and it was really nice. You met the mayor of, Port of Spain, and you had on your crown and you wave, and you felt nice and you were treated and all of that. You kind of look at life differently. It's so I am one that think that these are things that you need just even for your own sense of gratification. You're not doing it for anybody, you know what I mean? But when you speak in public and you want to really command people's attention and for people to take you seriously. My issue with the patois, you see, is that there's a thin line between the patois and the slang. And when someone is not coming from a background where they have, the little grooming classes where you're doing at the pageants and all of those things, and they're going into an interview and yeah, you want to say yeah, and all of that's supposed to be accepted as patois. I have a problem with that. And so for me, communication is what is most important. And again, how you show up. Some people shoot themselves in the foot the first time, and sometimes you never get that you can't get a first impression twice. You can only get it once, and some people just have to seize that moment. And so, later when I did my postgraduate diploma in human resource management, and you go into that whole thing of recruiting and selection, you realize that sometimes some people don't give themselves a chance. And in an interview, you're really playing a game to win. Let's face it, sometimes the game over before the interview. Some interviews are shams. Yeah? Because sometimes the question is already put on to whoever. So whether you have right or wrong address, and these are unfortunately some of the things that cripple countries like Jamaica. Because some people when they're young, they're energetic, you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and then somebody just may smile and say, "You were great. This interview was wonderful," knowing fully well, say, "Good job, put on to somebody else." But when you have that confidence, so you'll try again and you try again and you try again. A door must open. You know what I mean? And if it don't open the way you want to, create a door. When I did the course in balloon decorating and floral arrangement, everybody in the course was like in their 50s and up. So here's this little 20-odd-year-old, and I looked really tiny at that time, and I looked like 18 or younger. And here's this little girl, basically, coming in. Everybody was older. I see a retired principal and all of that in the course, but I still pressed on. You know what I mean? And gave myself an opportunity that, of course, I'm doing it now, and I want to, go into events, and I'm still finding ways of building myself and expanding. But what I gained from pageants and all of that, apart from the fact that you know a lot more about your country, and then so when I came to places like Institute, it was a no-brainer to be working in the museum, to interacting with researchers, and my education, of course, at the University of the West Indies complemented that. So whereas the average tour guide probably just knows the whims and fancies of how to get people around, when you have the knowledge, you're a step ahead of the rest. Yeah.
Yes, I see that, you talk about you're a lover of Garveyism, and it's very interesting, because, he was a young man and grew up in high school. I was like a Garveyite from in high school. So
yeah,
I do understand, So, as you're talking about Garvey, so what, how you got interested in Garveyism, really?
Right. So when I was on campus at Marcus Garvey movement, right? When I was at St. Anne's, I wasn't there. When I went to UE, definitely, or Exed, it wasn't there at Exed either. So I remember at Exed though, Muta Baruka coming in and telling us that one of the things they don't teach us in school, business management, development of business idea, all of that, management of business, but him say, who teach ownership? And he said, when I was growing up, I did think that the manager was the owner. Based on how the manager was, I did think the manager was the owner. And it sparked in me, that whole issue of owning your destiny. And I suppose it is no surprise that I made the attempt to own my home. And I write in brackets, because until you redeem your mortgage, you really don't own your home. Not true. But
Sure.
When I was on campus, I joined the Marcus Garvey movement, and really nice persons, Ayanna and Lydia, and persons that are probably still lecturing, and many other people. But after enjoying the movement now, you really get into the meetings and the whole issue of African identity and consciousness, just consciousness generally. And then you really did your courses, and then you realize, the Garveyism in the Americas, and you say, yep, everything about this man. And then the philosophies. Let me tell you, Garvey's philosophies, if you read philosophies and opinions of Marcus Garvey and read other books that refer to Marcus Garvey, you realize if Black people held on to his philosophies, they could conquer the world. When my grandmother was alive, I remember, and my grandmother loved history, like my mother. And by the way, Christopher Career is my cousin, just for the record. So all of the family, we're very much interested in culture and the roots, and we're not Rastafarians, but we know the value of it. and we know the importance of teaching it to your children. So it's not by accident that I had the name Ayanna. My mother is one of those persons who, you know, grew up in the time of the Black Power movement. And in just talking to my mother, it wasn't indoctrination, it's really just sharing her experiences. And then I learned so much about, you know, the attitudes towards issues of race and the fact that people spend so many time running away from it, and it never stops running us down, you know. And so when my mother told me about her time at Kingston Technical, there was a principal of a high school that I will not name that said that the afro was unsightly and unsanitary. And so my mother was a part of a group of students that made sure that when they went to school the next day, they didn't just wear afro, pull out the hair, carry the afro pick. Yeah, they were ready to show. It's not about unsight. I mean, when a principal of a school is gonna really say that a hairstyle is unsightly and unsanitary, you know, and I mean, we're coming out of a time that at that time in America, it was said loud and black and I'm proud. So, you know, you kind of wonder, most of these principals went overseas to study, you know, like where did the conscience and, you know, the consciousness go through the window that you're gonna tell young Black children not to push forward irrespective, but that how you carry yourself is unsightly and unsanitary. It's sad. And it's no surprise when people in authority think that way. It is no surprise that a judge and a judiciary in Jamaica is gonna give a school the edge to say that they do have the right to make in their rules, that they don't, if they don't wish to have Rastafarian children, it's okay. Because that's what that case with that student from Kensington Primary, that's what it showed, that a school can literally have the authority to say that. And so when you're conscious, you look behind the rhetoric and the statement, you now know that there is a mindset which is called mental slavery, and you know how deep it can go. Because slavery, when I was in the movement, I remember Alan always said, we're always using slavery as an excuse, and him said, no, it's not that. We don't talk about it enough, and that's why people don't understand it. And so I was coming from that home where you watch Roots, and you watch a comedy after Roots, but you definitely know what Roots was all about. Maybe another family that would have changed the channel, you know? Maybe another, yeah, but I am coming from that background where the harder issues, you were taught not to run away from it. Face it and deal it, and to know that Black pride is not about racism or hating white people. You have to love yourself before you love others. Yeah, because there's more out there, even in pageants. I come back to the pageants again. You know, we're coming out of a time in Jamaica where, you know, the color thing is always an issue in pageants, right? And yes. I remember when Carol entered, you know, she was told that, you know, I guess she heard it too, you know, we're not sure if dark skin girls or if you're not very brown or whatever, or the hair thing. You know, the hair thing is always a big deal. I don't know why. Why after so many years of slavery, good God, the way in which you carry your hair is so very important. And it shouldn't be important. I mean, as another scientist says, hair is dead cells. You know, why are we paying so much attention to dead cells and not the brain cells? You know what I mean? So everything, I think, came full circle in terms of me now being able to give a more comprehensive view of culture when I do my tours. So that it's not just about the artifact or the artwork. Think about the mindset. Even artifacts and artwork can tell you something about culture, because that is why Africa is now asking back for their artifacts, because Europeans admire the beauty of it. You know, it's eclectic, and then find every adjective in the book to describe it as an object of wonder, of interest, of beauty, but to the people, right? And so what you find is people at face value can even say that you're beautiful and all of that, or something that you do, but there's something about you that don't quite add up. You know what I mean? And so now Africa now has to say to Europe, we are not for show anymore. We have a story, and we're not gonna tell our story. Yeah, we don't need you to tell it anymore, because you weren't telling our story. You were using our objects for gain, exploiting even the beauty is for your gain, but you still don't rate the people. Yeah. And so when you have, again, that deep understanding of history, with everything, you can then inspire. You know, when you go to UE, the motto of UE is be inspired. My aim then is to inspire others to look beyond, yeah? And even in the ugliness, to see the beauty in it, yeah, the thing of beauty is a joy ever, yeah. So I'm not one of those people who believe that beauty is only what's on the inside. That's a lie. The beauty has to be on the outside. Carry yourself beautiful. Celebrate the continent with beauty. Yeah, put it in your home, put it in your car, put it in your backyard decor, the whole thing. Yeah, and celebrate it, because it's important. Because there's too much out there to tell you the contrary. You know what I mean? It come back to the confidence in self. You know what I mean? And what God will tell us about us being a mighty race. You know, if you don't believe that, or just the strength and the beauty that you have, there's gonna be too many dissenting voices in this world. So you need that grounding. You know? Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
How many of you are there?
One. One Ayanna. Ayanna, however, is the second two sisters, and my sister is Soyini. So again, you know, we keep even the ancestors alive. So there's Soyini and there's Ayanna. Well, there's only one Ayanna.
Yeah, but let's say at the institute, how many people like you doing tours and have this, you know, all this knowledge and all that?
Right. So I mean, my department, or what, two of us? Yeah, 2 to 3. Right now it's 2 persons in terms of East Street. But again, if you go to Spanish Town, there are 2 persons there. If you go to Montego Bay, there maybe, I don't know, maybe the same amount, but not many. I can tell you, very few, very few.
But that is part of our problem.
Yes.
We're not putting the important things like what you are doing out there.
But I tell you, people underestimate tour guides, you know. People feel because you're not a director, or because you're not, you know of a particular post, that somehow, you know, it's like, what do you know? You know what I mean? I mean, let's face it, I've been here for 8 years. I didn't plan to stay in this position for 8 years. But I mean, I just use my setbacks and say, you know what, I probably didn't get the position that I applied for and all of that, but I'm still gonna put out the best. And I love the fact that my job has to do with people. When you work with the government, you see the word called bureaucracies, Lord of mercy, it have a capital B, you see? And I have a director who is not from Jamaica, who's even said to me one day, oh, but you're just a glorified tour guide. So that cemented for me the fact that people don't value, you know, when you're at a certain level, what you do, and people put you in a box, you know what I mean? So all I have to do now is run with box as soon as I'm, you know, qualified from a pension. And I don't mean pension age. I mean, once you reach that 2023 December,
Yeah.
something, the ministry do what them for do, yeah, and then you run with it, yeah. So you have to be, you have to put a timeline when you're in the government. But in terms of persons coming into this area, the number one deterrent, apart from the fact that they don't really value what we do, especially for those of us in the arts, you have to be extremely strategic and do some real deep thinking when you're in the arts, because it doesn't pay. So for persons like myself who always had a skill outside, it is the backbone of balancing me in working with the government, and particularly an agency such as this. But it doesn't pay, can I tell you? And that is a deterrent, especially the generation X, Y, and Z. Yeah. Because generation Z is not waiting for the gold pen and the plaque. No, we don't want the generation Z don't want the gold pen and the plaque. what they want is to know the value of their service. And so a lot of people probably would want to do what I do, or they say, great, this was fantastic, and I hope the Institute treasures you and all of that. But a lot of people, it doesn't pay. I remember once they had an interview, and when they mentioned the salary, one person turned up. So you cannot find, for those reasons, people are not going to be drawn to full-time positions in the arts. They'll do it, temporarily, but they're not going to be doing it full-time. And whereas the country deserves to have somebody like Ayanna too. For instance, I have here, I don't know if you can see, it's an old picture of Ward Theatre. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Yeah. If I just slide it across, if I do, and I had to talk about here, apart from mentioning that, the two major political parties, not the first, because the first by Marcus Garvey, People's Political Party. But when you say, the two major political parties in Jamaica, the People's National Party and the Jamaica Labour Party, had their official opening at the Ward Theatre. Mm-hmm. I am also going to talk about, in the same breath, Louise Bennett and her role at the Ward Theatre. And in the mm-hmm. same, I am also going to talk about Al Knight's the song called Black Cinderella. I think it's Errol Dunkley that made it popular. And the song was really made out of the experience when they were casting persons for Cinderella in Jamaica. Because one of the things when Louise Bennett came back to Jamaica after working at BBC and all of that, and realizing that we're so British, the things that we do, and even in our plays and the pantomime, they're so British. And so here was this casting for Cinderella, and then all the dark-skinned women who went up for Cinderella was turned back, and so they made the song, Where Can I Find a Black Cinderella? So my tours, I'm not just about building, I'm going to talk about, and then you bring in that where is this just round from Liverpool. Marcus Garvey started, his own, political journey, as having a center. And then you talk about that, and then you talk about St. William Grand Park, which is steps from Ward Theatre. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from. So make people understand that it was a university that that they look forward to, give them a sense of to let them that have work rights, and that they're to know that yes, you're a factor of production, but you are a very key factor, and that there are certain sectors that can't do without workers. So those sectors shouldn't have a choice. Those workers and their interests are defended and protected, And so again, I'm doing the tours, I draw in every little thing, bear in mind, of course, if it's children, you kind of want to break it down level, you know what I mean? Because I do tours with kindergarten to senior. I remember touring a 99-year-old, I'll never forget it. And she made up the steps, and it was really nice. We had an exhibition on that day, Rebellion, and she made it up the steps. And I really like that, that I toured a 99-year-old. But I have kindergartners that come to for their tour. I remember
one moment. Let me
yeah. It's year-olds, it's 12-year-olds, and then it's 10-year-olds. It is what it is. Yeah. I think we're just for a while, and I can hear, but I can't see.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
No. Okay. Right. So just to say, I can do my own distinction, and I draw from my own experiences if I have to, explain things to people, let them know, all of that. And so that they feel inspired, it's the plus and the minus, right. And so, yeah, that's what I do. That's what I do.
Next question I have for you. That person you said that was in charge and not from Jamaica, where are they from?
Wales. And so there
How
was
can
a
we do? How
disagreement.
can we do that? And why are we continuing to do things like that?
You know, I asked more Sir Henry Moore, Captain Henry, Governor of Jamaica, pilot of notorious character, was also from Wales. I don't know if you understand where I'm coming from, in other words. But you see, let me tell you, what do Jamaica, or what talking about, we don't talk, you know, we talk, still have in our minds that is better. You know, if and I tell you, my grandmother always say, if the likes of a Marcus Garvey and a Norman Manley knock heads, Jamaica would be a force, yeah? But it would appear as if it's really Marcus Garvey and Bustamante, in the sense that it's really the people who stick out for the workers. But sadly, when the worker gets into the place, the mindset of the people who set the order is that foreign is better. And it is not only in my experience and all of that. I see it other places. I see it other places. I remember speaking to somebody, and the person, not about this necessarily, and the person said, but Ayanna, from them here, that the accent there, I'm not gonna listen to you, if you understand what I mean. So sadly, we're under that mindset. I think the best era to show that is football. Jamaica origin, when those are handsomely paid, but the delivery is not there. And if it is local, somehow it always has to be a very long, drawn-out debate. If you understand where I'm coming from. So sadly, we live in a country, you see, that's why Marcus Garvey said the world is run on a bluff. And the bluff is that you're going to be rewarded based on merit. No. You're rewarded on who, or who know you.
Yep. So true.
So the beauty is that when you have the need can you can then convert that, and that's exactly what I work partially with Kingston Creative. So I can be the glorified tour guide that's respected and loved, and when I feel good, people feel good, and them learn, and them kids learn, and take those pictures too. Hello.
Yeah, I think part of the problem, is that, is this colonial mindset that we still have. We're so socially conditioned to think and behave and believe certain things too. So, that's so, we'll have to work at that aspect of life.
Yeah, the mental slavery, itself from mental slavery.
We have to just get up one day and just stop it. That's all we have to do. Just stop it.
It's a thing called will and courage. Most people
I know at one time, I'm not sure about now, but I know at one time that all our tourists printed material were done overseas by overseas people.
Yeah.
I know that's a fact.
Yes.
How can that be?
Yeah, because let me tell you, working in a pageant, because then after you finish one pageant, you probably try one or two others. And I remember going to a casting for a commercial, and it was for chocolate. And I think it was gardener, but somebody who worked on the premises. Because at that time I was like 98 pounds, you know what I mean? And slim and fine and fantastic and these things. And I remember the person working on the grounds telling me, say, if it's that company you're going for, you're not going to get through. You're not like, like a little light or a little brown. Yeah, they're not going through. They only choose the letter and the brown. And this is somebody who is the person, not the cast, the person is working on the premises. And what that taught me is the persons who are behind the lens, they choose the imagery. They think that the best image to sell Jamaica is a Chinese, then it's a Chinese and get money. If you understand where I'm coming from. It's despite the fact that when people come to Jamaica, them will see very, very few Chinese. If somebody believes that that is the image that sell, that is what they will choose. The same with marketing companies in Jamaica. A lot of them will choose a girl that's light skinned because they think that is the image where people will like.
Well, if you look at the TV now and see the ads that are on there, I don't want to name any company, but the most of them have gone back. At one time we were back to the black, but now all of them have gone back to not only light skin but white.
Yes, because you see, and if you don't know, the consciousness comes in. I can say definitively, there are some commercials when you see they use a particular image, it was consciously done without opposition. If you understand what I mean.
Oh, yes.
And then sometimes you have a little thing called tokenism. So you will see a parent and they need 20 girls and maybe 2 of them are dark skinned, but the other 18 are light skinned. But then, you know, you can put them to task because then they will put the 2 and say, but those 2 are dark, if you understand what I mean. So the tokenism thing is there. And this is why, you know, your background is important, because if you, sometimes if you're too heavily vested in these things, it can be heartbreaking, especially when you're very, very young. You know what I mean? When you're older, you can look back and you can reflect on all of that. And this is why some people don't want their girls entering, because then they will feel ugly. You know what I mean? And they will feel like, you know, they don't measure up. They don't quite measure up. And so that balance is important, but an understanding that regrettably, you still have a lot of people still hold on to those vestiges of the crown, which makes everything lighter or foreign better. And it sends a residual message that if you really want to get there, switch. And so when you think about even things like bleaching, while I don't condone it in no way, shape, or form, some people just like a means to an end, you know? And in other words, the narrow survival. The only thing is, if I should meet somebody that decide to go that way, I would say to them, I can understand, but then you have to know, plan when you're going to stop competing and actually demanding your value. You know what I mean? Because then you are light skin or you're brown. There's gonna be a girl that's browner than you or lighter than you, and then once you older, then you're gonna be replaceable. If you get where I'm coming from. And then when the right girl comes in the mix, then you lose the race altogether.
Altogether.
Right. So then you have to really, you know, to look at the broader spectrum. We get to a point where you can value, and that's what self-reliance is about. When you are at the best of what you are, the forces will come to you. You don't necessarily have to run it down.
Well, you see, the good thing about today, you know, the good thing about today is that the established media houses don't have the power that they used to have.
True.
Because they're not the only one publishing.
Yes.
Everybody is publishing now.
Yeah.
So now we have a great opportunity to change all of what you're talking about.
Right.
We don't have to wait on a major TV station or whatever to get things done. Everybody is a publisher. I mean, we are publishing this podcast. I mean, you know, we can get black people, white people. It doesn't really matter.
Right. Right.
But we are now in control.
Yes.
We're not going and begging again because we can publish for ourselves. And people have to make use of it and do great content that serves us.
Yes, and realize that give the message also that whereas people talk a lot about inclusivity and diversity, again, we have to talk, we don't walk the walk. You know what I mean? yeah, we need to get to the point now of walking the walk and realizing that what it does when a girl can present herself well, she can work hard, she can, make the best of herself, in an environment that it seems fair, then you won't go through the world so bitter. But there are some people, it's almost like nobody gives them a chance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that journey of trying to just get a chance gets so long, and it can be exhausting.
But no, we have to take our chance. And, we have to look and say, instead of looking at job,
Yeah.
you create a job.
Yes. And be bold in taking the risk. I will tell you, I wasn't really good to really step out there, and I know I will step out there on my own once. But like I said, I just want to cover the little, what I'm saying, basic sitting, and then I know I will be out there on my own. But not everybody have that, that support, that sense of direction, and to do it in a way that is, strategic and with some amount of mentorship. I think one of the things we underestimate in life is the role of a mentor. And the mentor is there to kind of tell you what to expect. You know what I mean? I remember speaking to somebody recently, and the person said they're going to UTech, but they think they're gonna pause and choose another area of direction. And I told the person, nothing is wrong with that. Just make sure what you're doing is something that you have an interest in, and it is something that you enjoy. Anything that you do in the area of work, you must enjoy it, because life's short. So when an
that is great advice. Great advice.
Yeah, when an employee can see that I'm glorified, I can also in my mind I say, ha, you know what I mean? But sadly, not everybody might have that kind of plan B, plan C kind of thing. And yeah, so maybe in the future, I might consider doing that, being a mentor. Yeah, because when you're young, especially like I say, if you're going in a direction that maybe your parents never went in, or, you might be the type to try new things. Sometimes you want that little, you know what I mean? A little cushion in a little coaching. Come on, it goes a long way. Goes a long way.
Yeah, so Ayanna, as you talk about future, have you ever thought of being a life coach and motivational speaker?
Motivational speaker, I will in a minute, you know what I mean? Life coach, I suppose, as long as I know what it entails, but I like the motivational part. Yeah, I definitely do that. Yeah. Would definitely do that. But of course, I want to go into entrepreneurship to a level, and then I can tell people comparing everything, you know what I mean? But coach, I say I have no objections as long as I, kind of know what to do. But I like the motivational speaking part. Just like I'll never forget to say, them don't teach you ownership in a school. He is so right.
Yes.
Stuck with me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But let's talk after the show, because there's a lot of possibilities for you. Lots and lots of possibilities.
Great. Definitely look.
So Flavius, so let us wrap it up. Please.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so Ayanna, we thank you for being with us, sharing your life story and your journey. It's such, we sit and listen to you all day. We would like how you even mention and talk about Garveyism, because most of us, we sort of dismiss, the role that Garvey played, not just only in Jamaica, but globally.
Definitely.
And, today, well, we didn't get much to go into about the research that you're doing, but I know that we'll have it for the next show that we'll do with you, because surely we have to have a part 2 with you. So
certainly.
3 and 4.
So back to you, Flavors.
Yes, okay. So As we close, we're going to ask Queen Labafu to give us the Our Father in the Garifuna language, and Tafina to take us out with Take For Yourself. Thank you very much.
You lead us to Fula. You belong far away away. Ajugwala Lebabu Seru. Lida Mua, Lida Sungfula. Lida Mua, Lida Sungfula.
Well, unfortunately, this is it. Till next time. Bless.
All you gotta do is just speak. One word is enough, and I'm no longer sorrow. I forget what I was trying to say. I no longer do what I was gonna do, but you're no good for me. That's why me do what set me a figure flee. Me have to take away me say. Me have to take away me say. Me have to hide like a thief in the night. Me have to get out of sight.